everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Vanissia. This is the Woolly Worker Knitting Podcast, and today I am joining you for episode 37 of the Woolly Worker Knitting Podcast. So yeah, it's been a while since I've sat down for a regular podcast episode. There's been a couple special episodes that have been going well thanks to you, so thank you for checking those videos out. I feel like I've been so motivated lately to not only knit but also podcast and make videos. I feel like we're right back to where I left things off pretty much a year and a half ago. I feel like even though I was still making videos in summer, maybe my heart wasn't in it as much, so the real woolly worker spirit was definitely alive and well a year and a half ago. So I feel like we're right back into it and it's been really nice. So yeah, thank you for sticking around and for staying there while I was having my little gap. But today we have a regular podcast episode. There's going to be 2 finished items, one of which I am wearing, and a few new cast-ons, a lot of new projects, plans, and there's been a lot going on knitting related, so I look forward to telling you all of that throughout the video. I'll just follow the regular structure where I'll talk about the finished items, the works in progress, and then the plans for the future. I won't really talk about the acquisitions because if you've seen my last video about the weekly vlog, you'll have seen that unboxing in real time. So yeah, if you need any more information about any of the yarns or patterns that I mentioned, just check the description below. I have all the links to my Ravelry project pages, which will tell you all about yarn colors, needle sizes, modifications, etc. I try to remember as much as I can in the podcast, especially in terms of modifications, because that's definitely the most interesting part, or one of the most interesting parts about listening to podcasts, I think, is definitely hearing a person's version of the project, not just I did this pattern. But yeah, and we took some photos of the finished items. There'll be lots of photos on screens. Definitely something that you guys have been saying the whole time. You really like it when there's modeled photos. It's kind of what sets me apart a little bit from some other podcasters out there. And maybe this is why you keep coming back. I don't know, really just guessing, but I really like it when you see different angles and things of things as opposed to just on a hanger. So yeah, that's why, even though it's not always easy to do them, that's why it's really important for me to do them as much as I can, the finished item photos. So yeah, I think that's everything. Oh yeah, there'll be the giveaway announcement at the end. I have to remember this. So yeah, the first thing is what I am wearing, and it's my first finished items, and this is the Nimbus by Jessie Maed. So I will put photos on screen and everything, but you can see it here. It's got a really nice round neckline. I really like this depth. I don't know how we'd be able to recreate this in other items, but I feel like this is the perfect mix of crew neck but open, scoop neckline maybe, but I really like the slope of it, and it's not too deep or too stark. It just feels so natural. So I really like this neckline. This is a project, it was a test knit actually that I did. I do not remember when I did this, maybe in March it came out, or February. I signed up for it in January, and I think it came out in March. But sadly I did not finish the testnet in time, which, to be completely transparent with you guys, I will tell you. So, Jessie Maed was sending out different pattern updates every now and then, and so I was doing things a certain way. She says to change it, so I unravel a lot of work on the yoke or whatever. But then the numbers don't match up, so then I send her an email, and then she sends back, oh, actually, the first way was correct, so sorry about that. And if it affects your ability to finish the testnet on time, don't worry about it. She said that to everybody, or just me, I can't remember. So I was okay, that's fine. So I then tried as best as I could to finish it, but sadly, I didn't finish one of the sleeves. So I didn't finish the testnet, but I still gave my feedback about the pattern. I actually did find a couple of things that needed to be changed, and then in the end, I wasn't included in the final round of sending the finished pattern and also giving a free pattern. Part of me feels maybe I didn't deserve the free pattern, but I certainly would have liked to have the finished version of this one. And then I also felt I gave it my best, and it wasn't entirely my fault that I didn't finish on time. It was because there was a mistake pretty late in the testnet that made the timeline much faster, and it was already quite a tight deadline for a sweater. So I did leave a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. I really would have liked being compensated for my generously given time to test knit a pattern for free. Like I would have liked to have a free pattern as a payment, and I was disappointed. So yeah, I feel like maybe it was a bit of a miscommunication as well, where if she had said, you know, like, I don't know, I feel like maybe the terms weren't clear, or like, yeah, there was a bit of expectations that weren't met there. So yeah, just telling you what happened. But regardless of all of that, the pattern itself is really great. It is very unique because the yarn is actually quite light and airy. It's very drapey, the gauge is really open. I used the fiber company Zero, which wasn't the recommended yarn. The recommended yarn was a hand-dyed yarn from a US dyer, and it had kind of a cotton alpaca composition, which I could recreate here with Zero. So Zero is Surrey alpaca, cotton, and merino wool. It's really nice. I only used 2.5 balls, so I actually have 3 skeins of this left. That's crazy. So I have... That's crazy. No, I have 2.5 left. So I had 5 in stash. I used half to make this me-sized sweater, so very, very generous. I don't particularly fancy making another sweater of that like yarn and color, so again, this will be on my D-stash if you fancy buying yourself a Nimbus quantity of the sweater in the same color as me and you're my size. I did a size like 1 or 2, it'll be on my Ravelry. Then yeah, check out my Ravelry D-stash page. I really highly recommend this yarn for this project. I think it's perfect, if I say so myself, because like it is, I'm wearing a little like tan camisole and you can't really see it through. Like this is perfectly adequate and appropriate to wear out. Like it's not one of those very loose, airy sweaters that you have to wear like a bralette, like a fancy showy bra. Like, you know what I'm trying to say, like it's not something that will reveal what you're wearing underneath, even with a gauge like this and a yarn like that. I am feeling a little hot right now and it's like 20 degrees in my room. I think because I'm like talking and being all animated, like I'll heat up a little bit, which is not necessarily what I want. But this could be worn maybe like in a tiny bit colder weather, like maybe 18 degrees, and this would be a bit more comfortable. I'll tell you later, I guess, in future videos, what seasons I'm wearing this in and like what I pair it with. On my project photos, you'll see I paired it with this beautiful skirt from Uniqlo. I love the contrast between like the satin and the fluffy yarn. The colors I think are in the same color family again, because there's like a tiny hinge of yellow into this, and the satin skirt is kind of turquoise, like dark turquoise a little bit. So I think they go really well together, and I was so excited that I was able to pair them together for this photo shoot, and definitely something that I'll wear again like out and about. The reason this was not finished in March, like I said, is because I didn't finish one of the sleeves, so that's kind of what I just did like the last couple weeks. It only took me 2 days, like literally 2 days to do this sleeve, so it's a shame that I didn't. And again, and this is probably why I'm not contacting Jessie Maed about that like test knit pattern compensation, because I actually could have finished it on time, knowing now what I know, which is that the sleeve took 2 days. Like it's definitely, I have a lot of responsibility into this, which is why I don't want to go to her and like demand things, because I think I'm also partly to blame. So the sleeve was really fast to finish. I'm pretty sure if you've seen my past video, you'll know that I've made one sleeve longer than the other. Like I've done one too many cables, or like half a cable repeat, but the way that I've blocked it, you really can't tell the difference. Like, can you? Like, I think this is fine, and I think I'm really, really happy with the length of the sleeve and the length of the body. Like, I think I've nailed this project. Like, I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I like the way that the stitches are picked up, like at the front and at the back. Like that, like back section is really seamless, because cables are kind of hard to master in terms of like making things work out. The undersleeve, like this is a straight sleeve, there's no decreases. There are options in the pattern to decrease if you want. And so if you're just making it straight, you pick up the stitches at the underarm, the beginning of round is at the underarm in the middle, and then there's a cable actually that happens there as well, so you have to cross your cable mid-round, and that was kind of interesting. The chart was really funky looking, but it all worked out fine if you just follow the instructions. I like the way Jessie Maed's patterns are written to an extent. Sometimes they're a little too wordy, too beginner hand-holdy for me, which clearly is like a problem with me. Like I'd much rather have something that's a little bit more bare bones, but not the patterns that are like 2 pages long. That's not enough for me. So I liked it enough. I skip a lot of pages, I guess, because she always explains how to do a tubular bind off, how to do this, how to do that, like at length, like how to do a make one right. And it's like I really don't need to have those sections of like here's how to do like knitting instructions for techniques. Yeah, I just skipped the techniques section, but it's good to have it all in one place if you're the kind of person that sometimes has to go back to like, oh, how do you do an Italian bind off again? So yeah, it's interesting because Jessie Maed always has very nice basics like the classic raglan, cozy classic light, which I've done, and a few other like very normal tops. And then she also has so many like really weird, fun, out there, trendy ones. Like for summer, she's got like lots of lacy tops, which again, like you need to know what kind of bra you're gonna wear underneath. So I maybe stay away from those a little bit more because I don't know how to wear them. But this is gonna be like a staple. I really, really like this. And I'm so glad, like this is good because sometimes I sign up for test knits and then I forget why I signed up for those because like I lose a bit of my motivation, or like I get swept up. I get swept up in the excitement of doing a test knit without thinking about, but do I want this piece actually? And I may have even said that when this wasn't a finished item, but as a finished item, I'm so glad I have it. And I'm glad I was forced to dig into my stash to find what I would do because then I didn't have to buy special yarn for it, and it challenged me to try and pair things that I think would go well together, like yarn and pattern wise. The only thing that I'm not super happy with is the bind off in this yarn. You'll see in the photos, I think looks a bit sloppy. I think I just did an Italian bind off. I don't know if I've done set-up rounds. I think I didn't, because I would see that. So maybe if I had done some set-up rounds to just tighten everything a little bit back up before doing the bind-off. However, it's tricky because you don't want it to be too tight on your waist or your hips, which is really hard to gauge in those yarns, like fluffy yarns. And saying that, I don't even know how I would have done an Italian bind off like with that fluffy yarn. It must have been really annoying for the body, but I don't remember doing it. But it definitely is a tubular sewn bind off. So yeah, I think that's enough for this. I'll stop completely talking about this for the whole podcast, but I hope you like it. It was really nice doing the photo shoot for this. Like I've not done a pattern for myself and finished the sweater like in so long, so it was really the boost that I needed to keep going. And yeah, I really highly recommend that you do that pattern for yourself as well. So the next finished item is the Pressed Flowers shawl by Amy Christophers, or Savory Knitting, and oh my god, I'm again over the moon happy with this one, guys. It's been a long time coming. I think it was like a year ago that I had cast it on. When it was put in storage, it had 4 little flowers, and now it has 11 and a border. It's been washed and blocked, and it has grown 10 inches in length and I think 1 inch in depth. So the length, we've definitely gained a lot here. It was too big for the blocking mats, so the border is not completely straight, like it's maybe a little bit wavy at times. I did an Icelandic bind off, so at first it was really uneven looking and like ripply and weird, and it would flip over, but once I blocked it, it was all fine. And I'm really glad I did the Icelandic bind off. A lot of people were recommending that in their notifications on Ravelry. So without further ado, let me get you the masterpiece. Ta-da! It just about fits. Oh my god, you guys, like this is so cool. I'm so glad. It is gigantic, isn't it? So yeah, this is in DK yarn. I've used Knitting for Olive Merino in Wild Berries. I had only 3 balls. They were in stash to make a camisole. I ran out of yarn doing the border, so I had to order 1 more ball. So overall this used 3.5 balls of merino, held double. And then I used just about 1.5 skeins of hand-dyed DK from Zakami, non-superwash. So that was about 300 and so meters of DK yarn. So I highly recommend that if you have 2 skeins of variegated or speckled hand-dyed yarn that you don't know what to do with, then I highly recommend you use it as a contrast color for this, because I think it works so incredibly well to add interest to something that's already interesting but without stealing the show too much, because the main color is solid. This actually was an idea that I had in one of my previous videos about what to do with 2 skeins of hand-dyed yarn. I think at the time I hadn't started it, so I was saying that I was going to do it, and here I am, following through on the plans. And I stand by what I said, like, brilliant idea for that. So definitely follow my advice if you want to use those 2 skeins of yarn, or you're going to a yarn festival this summer and you are looking for something to put on your to-buy list. I recommend something for this project. It was a lot of fun. It was insanely addictive. Like, once I picked it back up, I didn't put it down except when I ran out of yarn, which was devastating. And as soon as I got the yarn in my possession, I went right back to it. Many nights were spent doing this border. The rows were so long. So a couple modifications for the border. I swapped the colors. If you see the pattern photo, you'll notice that normally you're just supposed to like do this little close together flowers motif in just the original color, but I thought it would add interest. I also thought I might be able to save my yarn and be able to finish the project with only the 3 balls of merino, but like that didn't work. I still needed to buy 1 more ball. And then the other thing that I did was that, see here when the pattern is starting, you're doing like flower, gap, flower. Then when you're halfway through this flower, you're starting a new one already. And what the pattern would have wanted you to do is that here when you're close to the end, you would have also had like the beginning of a flower here between those two, and it would have been cut off when you would bind off. And a lot of people said that it bothered them that the flowers were cut off in the middle, and I saw examples of people doing this where they basically mirrored what happened at the beginning, which is that there's no incomplete flowers, like you just have complete flowers. In an ideal world, I think I would have preferred if they had been 3 flowers instead of like 2. Like here you've got stacks of 2 of them. Maybe I would have liked it if I had basically done 1 more full flower repeat. Just because I think uneven numbers are more aesthetic than even numbers. Like here it's almost too symmetrical. But I also really liked the size that this gave me, like regarding... Compared to the size of the main body, I like that the border's thin enough that you know it's a border. Like, it's not taking too much attention away from the main body. The main body is still the star of the show. And what a show this is! It looks fantastic. It's beautiful. I can't say enough good things about it. Again, yeah, when you're doing the main pattern, and you've got your center spine, the center spine is like a mirror of what happens on the edge as well. So when you're doing and the edge is here, this is the edge. So here when you see like the edge of the regular motif, there's never a half completed flower. Like the flower ends and is created right here. And then same for the middle. There's just like 2 flowers mirroring each other all the way down. But when it gets to the border, the stitch count, because you're having those like, the flowers are closer together, there's more flower per inch, let's say. So that means you have to create like half flowers. And again, it's not my favorite thing in the world. I don't mind it though, like I think this is kind of cute here, that little thing. It almost looks like a complete flower. Like, what I mean is that it's not that symmetrical. Well, it is symmetrical when you think about like left and right, but it's not the same as like what was happening up there because the flowers are closer together. It's fine. It's fine. Really happy with my idea, or like copying the idea, of having then like no incomplete flower rows, and also to have switched the colors over. This is the back of the project, if you're wondering what mosaic knitting looks like. It's fair enough. I've not woven in the ends yet. I'm a bit annoyed that I have so many of them, because I really like how this looks from the back, and I know that once I start weaving the end I'm gonna ruin this. Like, I can't do it invisibly, I just can't. Like here, I'll show you, I wove in some ends, and you can definitely tell that there's like something going on. Like obviously I'll cut the tails, but see here, like you can see my ends like starting to be weaved in, and I just don't like it. So yeah. Oh, sorry. So yeah, I'm annoyed that I have to weave ends, and because I ran out of yarn, that meant I had more ends to weave in, I think. But anyway, like, I'm really grasping at straws to say something negative about this project. I guess the way it was written, though, if you're new to mosaic knitting, maybe this wouldn't be my pattern of choice to begin with, because it is really overwhelming. There's charts and written text, but I'm pretty sure you can't do the project with just the charts or just the text. The first few rows are written out in the text, but then it just says go to the chart. But the chart is skipping out on like the middle stitches and the edge stitches. For the increases, by the way, I've changed from backward loop from make one right, make one left. I've instead just done backward loop increase all over, and that was fine. I've also done a different edging with an I-cord. What I did was that I knit the first stitches and the last stitches on the right side, and on the wrong side I slipped them with yarn in front. So all that is on Ravelry. And I really like the edge it gives me, like it's like a nice little I-cord that's like alternating like red and contrast. So yeah, I'd say if it's your first mosaic, I wouldn't necessarily do this project because it's not the most straightforward, I guess, or like clarity. What's the name for clarity? Clear. It's not the most clear. So yeah, maybe I'll get on the hunt for what I would then recommend as a beginner mosaic knitting project. The other one that I've done was I've done the Gwen mini shawl by Florence Sperling, and that was better, I think, in my opinion. I think that one was more clear to follow. So I would probably recommend that if you have a lot of minis or scraps that you want to use. The one that I did in like as an advent project last December. I'll show a photo here because I also am in love with that shawl. So far my 2 mosaic knitting shawl have been resounding successes. As you can see, like I'm just beaming. So I think I should follow my heart and clearly give the people me what they want and do another mosaic knitting shawl. So drop below your recommendations if you have any patterns that you think I'd enjoy, and if not, I think what's her name? Moonstruck Knits has a lot of really fancy shawls. Like she definitely has a lot of like, I think her style can be described as like architectural. Like she has very much insane constructions, insane structures, textures and mosaic and everything. So I'll check out her catalog, see which ones I have in my favorites, and just maybe get one and cast on. Even though I might not wear it all the time, the process of knitting it might be really fun, and my color choice, if I follow again the lead of like this one and then the previous one, the Gwen shawl, go with the pastels or the pinks, and clearly I'll be very happy. So that was it for the pressed flowers shawl, and I'm really happy because actually the pressed flower shawl and this were 2 very long-standing whips that have now been bound off, and the needles have been reused for something else. So that's 2 projects that are gone from my like hibernating whips pile, and that means that new cast-ons could be cast on. So let's talk about that. Although first I will talk about the last one that's like a hibernating whip like revival, and if you've seen the previous video you'll know what this is. But this is the Pink Velvet by Andrea Mowry, which is also a very joyful color, joyful knit. It's a hand-dyed yarn from Jink Fiber, and it's Andrea Mowry's, I think it's my first garment from her. I did her like Birds of a Feather shawl last year or 2 years ago, and I really liked it. I like the way she writes her patterns. It's okay. It's not my favorite, but like maybe like my second tier of pattern reading is, she's up there. I'm gonna make a list of my tiers, I guess. And yeah, so that was hibernating for ages. I had done the body and I had blocked the yoke alone, but not the body, and the sleeves had not been picked up. I was dreading doing it because I didn't know if I was going to make any modifications to them, and it was fingering weight, and I wasn't sure if I would need to do magic loop or not, so lots of reasons not to pick it up. But the good old YouTube motivation of like having people encourage me and say, pick up the Pink Velvet, we want to see it, and I succumbed to peer pressure, and I picked it back up. And progress has been really fast. So, ta-da! So that's a sleeve finished, and that's a sleeve halfway there. So, yeah, here's the yoke, beautiful, and then here's the sleeve. The original pattern is 3/4 length, but I decided to do full length. And the way that I did it, which is again copied from another Raveler, because people complain a lot about Andrea Mowry's sleeves that can be too tight, I didn't want that, so I made sure to not decrease for the first like 9 inches, pretty much until I arrived to my elbow. So my big like bicep arm would fit with ease here, and then all the decreases are happening up there. So once I finished like knitting to my elbow, I measured how long I still wanted for the full arm, which was about 40 centimeters like in total. So then I divided that by what the stitch count I wanted at the end, and then that gave me 9 sets of decreases to do. So the numbers will vary obviously on like your arm length and everything. So because of the my row gauge and how many rows I had to do, I then calculated backwards that I would need to decrease every 10th round. So having all that information, I started knitting. It was crazy how quickly I was able to actually reach those 9 decreases. Like it didn't feel that long between the decreases, so it was addictive like stripes would be, because I was always like, oh, like 3 more rounds and I'm already decreasing. And so I kept going, and then at the end I thought I had just a tiny bit too many stitches, so I think I decreased like 6 or 7 around one more time. Just before the cuff, I had switched over to like smaller needles on my last knitting round, which I always do before ribbing. I think it gives a smoother transition. And then I just did like 2.5 centimeters of rib, like the pattern asks for, and then tubular bind off with the setup rounds, just to make it nice and tidy. If anything, it risks being too tight, but it's not that big a problem, because obviously like it's only for my wrist, which is the smallest part of my arm, so it's okay that the wrist is just like not as elastic, but it's not like tight, it's just not elastic, so it's not a problem, and I really like it. So before losing motivation, I immediately picked up the next sleeve, and I have just now done my first decrease, so I finished the big part where I don't decrease. And yeah, it's been actually a joy working on that. Like the yarn is really not terrible to work with. It's a like unspun or like single ply yak and silk and merino blend, and I'm using wooden needles and I'm finding the experience really nice. Here I have it on normal needles with normal tips and cable, and then once I started really running out of space on the needles, I switched to my like red Chiago minis with my 3.25 mil, and it wasn't a problem. Like on my hands or anything, I was really dreading it. Like I tried magic loop on that first sleeve for like 2 or 3 rounds, and I really hated it. So that's why I was trying to find alternative solutions as a way to like troubleshoot why this problem was such a block for me, and it worked. So if nothing stands in my way, I'm pretty sure this can be finished for the next podcast episode. The only thing that would get in my way is that I've got other projects that have deadlines, actually, like a lot. So this really isn't my main whip, but it like I probably could power through and maybe finish it in like a couple of days, which in the grand scheme of things is achievable. So, or like three or 4 days, just to like leave the fingers a bit of rest. So I think I'll keep it on the table, because my intention is to finish it, and then the next hibernating whip I want to pick up will be the Maed's top. I'll just show it quickly. I think it was like that when you last saw it on like the hibernating whip video. I love the little micro stripes that you can see, and I love the drape on this. Like this is a great yarn from the Fiber Fox. It's alpaca linen silk blend. Really want to get more of that in my stash. I was supposed to pick up and do some I-cords, but I couldn't find my needles that I needed, like my sock needles, long circumference 2.5. And I finally found them being used in my Yell, so I've got to see if I want to transfer things over just to capture those needles again, or if I want to buy some more, because I really don't fancy transferring like a few hundred stitches on like a string or something. But anyway, that was the pink velvet. Really pleased with how it's going, and I think that was the one that I was dreading the most doing out of all my sleeve island issues, because it was like fingering weight. But I'm glad that that one is almost on the other side, and the other two jumpers on sleeve island then are just like some DK weight sleeves sweaters that, like I said, they're kind of fluffy or warm, so it might not be the thing that I'm like jumping to the occasion to do immediately. But yeah, let's talk about the next project then, which is the Sadie sweater. So you've seen that in the last video about my weekly vlog. It's something that I've been wanting to do because I've been really liking wearing the blouse number one. I like wearing blouses, I like knitting them, I like having a bit of summer fibers. So this one I've decided to try to combine two yarns that were in my stash, which I did not buy together, but they're like literally the same color, which is like a light grey. So it's Alpaca 1 by Isayer, and there's Cotton Merino from Knitting for Olive in grey lamb. I have 4 balls of the grey lamb, 3 balls of this. It works out to about 1,200 meters pretty much for both. And I saw that the Sadie sweater by Ozetta was pretty much requiring that yarn quantity for like a DK weight yarn. She holds it with 1 strand. I did a swatch. The gauge is supposed to be 20 stitches, and I think I was getting 18 or 17 with like the needle that I tried at first, 375 I think, on maybe metal. And so I went down to then 3.5 wooden, because wooden needles give me a tighter gauge. I think that's fairly universal, but like obviously there's never completely one size fits all approach. And I just decided to cast on, not do a second swatch, and I'm doing size 1, and I added a couple stitches at the underarm just to make sure that it wouldn't be like a neutral ease blouse, but I like having a little bit of ease. This is pretty much neutral ease, to be honest, and I really like it. But I think for a blouse, like a summery blouse, you don't want anything to like cling to you too much. So without further ado, here's the Sadie sweater. Yeah, I feel like it's like quite anticlimactic after seeing like the pressed flowers shawl and like the pink velvet. Like this is great. It is boring, but it's really enjoyable. I've been loving casting on a new sweater. Drop shoulder constructions are always my favorite because they're so Moorish and addictive to reach the next step. I love Ozetta's patterns. Like she's in my like top tier of pattern writing. Super easy to follow. Just get you where you need to go. And I want to show off my pickup on the shoulder. I mean, you can see it with like the shadow, but like I think that's pretty neat. And so yeah, you do the back, you do the short rows at the back, you do the front, do some short rows at the front, I'm pretty sure. There's a few increases like at the neck to shape a little bit of the neck, but it's going to be fairly boat sleeved like that, boat necked. There's not a lot of finishings on this. There will be a lot of rolled hems, and she gives you advice on like how to do it if you don't want to roll it as much, which is definitely what I'm going to lean towards. My blouse number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, I tried to have it quite like tight cast on at the neck so it lay flat, not too much rolling at the neck. And then for the body and the sleeves, there's a little bit of rolling, but it's never been too distracting. Like it's never like insane stockinette rolling. There's a few advice tips out there on how to avoid like too much rolling, so I'll definitely make sure to follow that and then update you when I do reach that part. But like I said, I've just reached in the round. I've added a couple of stitches for like ease, and right now it's looking a little small. I mean, the shoulders are gonna sit pretty nicely and like fittingly on there, not mega drop shoulder. And then I'll just make sure to like stretch it a lot. Like it has a lot of give. So I'll stretch this out when I am, yeah, I lost stitches by doing that. I'll stretch it out when I'm blocking it. And I don't think it'll be a problem because I know that those things very much keep getting looser with wear, especially cotton that doesn't have any memory. Like if it starts getting really loose, it'll just like stay loose, which is kind of what I want. And that's why I wanted to start small with size 1 as opposed to just go with like the size 2 and then regret it later. And this pattern is looking like it's going to work up really fast. I don't see any problem whatsoever continuing it. Like, I think all the pain points would have been at the start. So this is just all stockinette. I guess the hard part will be to decide when to cut it at the body and the sleeves. I've seen a lot of people kind of say that the sleeves may have been a bit too long, so they've shortened theirs. So yeah, it's always like the big decision making of like, when do I stop? But I think for the body, I'll try and make it a little bit longer than the blouse number 1, because that one is just like almost too short. So I'm talking like, honestly, like 2 centimeters. But that's hard, because if it really is only about 2 centimeters, I don't know if me knitting 2 extra centimeters will help as far as like what happens after I block it. Like, there's only so much that you can control. Obviously I can block it to size, but then there's like the rolling that happens afterwards, which also adds an element of uncertainty about where does your hem actually end at on your body. So I may have to just let go of my expectations of having that much control over the length and just do it as I like feel. But yeah, that's the Sadie sweater, and so far it is my only stockinette in the round DK weight project, and I'm loving having the opportunity to have this on the go. Like, I want to finish it ASAP and everything, like I do for everything, but I'm also kind of like maybe attached to the idea of having this that I can bring with me to places. I can bring it downstairs, no problem. Like, I can just really use as and when needed for when there's other things competing for my attention, whereas pretty much all the other projects on the needles right now require some level of attention, or have 2 balls of yarn attached, or require decreases, etc. So yeah, that's the Sadie sweater. So the next one is a test knit. So that's new, and I teased it in the last video, and actually things have not gone as planned. So I signed up for a test knit by Tori Yu. I've not knitted anything from this designer. I've alluded before, I've said she has a lot of really great designs that I like and add to my like favorites all the time, but she does a lot of like worsted and iron weight things, and lots of camisoles. And I've said before, I'm not going to do that many more camisoles because there's just not really much opportunity for me to wear them in the weather around here, so no need for camisoles. And then I just don't love wearing worsted weight things either. So I think in the future you're definitely going to see a lot from me of like fingering weight and DK weight projects, and like usually it'll be t-shirts up to like sweaters and cardigans and blouses. So yeah. So Tori Yu, she has this test knit for the Gramercy tee. She shared on her Instagram. There's like a long sleeve and a short sleeve version, and a DK and fingering weight version. So that's really great. I love it when patterns offer like that much bang for your buck value. And I signed up with a really specific idea in mind. I have some yarn from Explorer Knits and Fibers called Gaudi, from I think her Spanish like collection. I ordered it with my friend Jo online when she had a drop like ages later and ages ago. So like it was not during the drop of the collection, it was like an in-stock update later. So we partnered up, I snatched up those 3 skeins of like the cashmere sock base, and it finally made its way back to me after a lot of like shipping times and waiting times, and so it's really precious to me. It was expensive, and I was waiting for the perfect project for it. And I thought this was it, like a fingering weight project. No need for a second strand to make this even more expensive and to like take the spotlight away from the color of this yarn and the texture. So I'm really happy to... And then I didn't want something that only required like a t-shirt quantity or like something like 3/4 line sleeve quantity, because then I wouldn't have needed to have bought 3 balls of it. I wanted to use as much of my stash as possible of this yarn and not have leftovers. And I looked at the yardages and it looked perfect. Like if I could only do this in like the one color, then it was the perfect project. So I signed up for the test knit, get accepted, woohoo, and I swatch with this, and it was really perfect. It's 24 stitches per inch, or 4 inches, which is perfect for me. I can get that with my 3.25mm needles, wooden needles. And you know me, like I have the loosest gauge, but for the first time, like I really like the look of those stitches. They look super nice and even. They look nice and compacted together. Like the yarn has fluffed up a little. There's no gaps. It's really soft because it has a bit of cashmere. it doesn't row out because I've used like a smaller needle size on the wrong side to do my pearls, because I know that it's something that I usually struggle with. So I really like this. Then I was struck by how much this looks exactly like my other cashmere project. Like, I'll show a video here because I just thought it was hilarious. It is literally the same color. So if you're feeling sad that you're missing out on Explore Knits and Fibers Gaudi color, go buy yourself some Cardiff cashmere in the color Funny, and you won't miss out. It's exactly the same. Probably the same gauge as well, honestly, and probably more expensive, however. So, yeah, if you have the means, you can buy the cashmere one, and it'll fix that itch of you wanting this beautiful purple. So, all that to say that Tori in her email said to people, by the way, if you want to make any other modifications than the length of things, then message me first to ask if that's okay. So I message her and I'm like, oh, hello, super excited. Can I do it in one color? I do that all the time with the Creabea. Like, she had this big color work pattern and I was like, can I do it in one color? I think it'll be cool to, like, because the shape of it I really like and I want to like showcase that. And she was like, oh yeah, go for it, it's fun. And she even said herself afterwards that she, like Creabea, that she would have wanted to make one for herself in only one color. And it's like, great. So I asked that to Tori, and then she messages back like really quickly after and she says, oh, like, no, thank you. Like, the stripes are very important to the design, so I'd rather, like, you keep it. So I was like, okay, like, absolutely no problem. Like, super glad that this got checked, like, on the first day of the test, and that I didn't just, like, start without thinking and then, like, disappointed her. So I was, like, thinking, okay, so I was gonna do the long sleeve version, and I was thinking, well, do I want to compromise my vision by having some, like, white stripes into this? Like, I was thinking white. I don't really see any other color that I'd be excited having a stripe with that, like maybe yellow or blue or something. And I just, like, no, I wasn't feeling it. I didn't want to have white stripes with that. And like I said before, I really value this yarn, and I want it to be something I'm 100% happy with as a final project. And I could already tell that I wasn't as excited about the stripes as I was with the plain version. So I decided, no problem, like, look into the stash, there might be something else that you have and we can just get started and give up on this for now. Now you've gauge swatched and you know what, like, gauge you like for this. So I had made my video about t-shirt, like summer knits that I wanted to do, and then there was a yarn combination that I had talked about for the Amélie tee, which was a combination of Knitting for Olive powder merino and Sandnes Garn Sunday in poppy. So I checked the quantities and I asked Tori, like, is it okay then if I do the short sleeve version because that works better with my stash? She says, yeah, go for it, that's fine. So I've now changed gears completely. We are doing stripes and we're doing the short sleeve version, but it's still the fingering weight. And it means I am not doing the Amélie tee that I said I would in my last, like, t-shirt video, but I will be making this Gramercy tee by Tori Yu. And it's a saddle shoulder, which is even more exciting than, like, a raglan would be. So without more ado, because that was a lot of ado, let's show you the absolute abomination Frankenstein monster of saddle shoulder construction that we're at. Well, it's not that bad, actually. So yeah, the thing that I'm holding here is the back. Then we have the two saddle shoulders. One of them has been blocked. It's the one near my face. And that's because you can use the saddle shoulder, the first one, as your gauge swatch. And then the bottom there is the front. So this is so fun. I mean, even just seeing it like that, the stripes are lovely. There are short rows at the back, and then there are short rows at the front. So lots of shaping, which is always good. It's crazy to see the difference in how this is laying, like when it's blocked, the saddle. To be honest, I, like, did this swatch and I realized the gauge was slightly off. So I changed needle sizes and I decided to just go ahead with the rest of the tee, and I would only have my saddle being, like, knitted on a different needle size. I thought it'd be okay. Like, I hesitated. Obviously, like, it would have been really easy for me to redo it, but I thought it was such a small, like, not even mistake, just like a small difference in gauge. And anyway, I was going to pick up stitches left and right to that saddle, so it really didn't matter whether that saddle was knitted at the same gauge or not. Like, we're talking like a half a stitch difference probably. So yeah, decided to go ahead with the rest of the project with my 3.25. This was knitted like smaller on like a 3, and now also doing the trick where I'm using a needle size smaller for the wrong side, and so far I can see no like rowing out on any of those pieces that have been knitted flat. So I'm really happy with that. In terms of the color, I'm quite surprised because the colors that I had chosen, I'll put a photo here, looked like, you know, like the poppy red is like almost pinkish, I think, and then the powder is definitely like a pinkish beige. I thought that that was going to be the vibe, but when they're next to each other like this, I'm almost seeing like an orange for the poppy. Like I feel like this looks like an almond color and an orange. So it's not really what I was going for, but I think it'll go well. I think my worry with the powder, and the reason why I was trying to destash it for 2 years, was that I was worried it was too close to my skin tone. But I think the poppy definitely wakes it up a bit. And once I wear it with the v-neck and the saddle shoulder, I think it will be okay. I mean, it's okay if not, like, lesson learned. In an ideal world, I think I would have preferred the poppy being the main color and having little powder stripes, but I didn't have enough in the stash, and I really wanted all of my test knits to be from stash. That's quite important to me this year, is really showing to myself that I can use all the things that I bought, and like I said, like solving problems and like having the little challenges along the way. So this was definitely a little bit of a challenge once my first plan of the purple yarn didn't work out. So yeah, this has been insanely addictive. Like I was up until midnight yesterday knitting this. Crazy, I know. And I need to pick up the front for the other one and then join, and then like the front and the back for the underarm, and then the v-neck continues a bit deeper, and then I'll join for the v-neck, and then everything will be in the round after that. The pattern, so it's my first time reading the pattern from Tori Yu, and I like it. It's definitely hard in the sense that I really have to pay attention. So first of all, I'm kind of glad I didn't do it without the stripes, because it's very much a pattern that has been written with stripes in mind. Like a lot of rows are talking about like main color, contrasting color, main color, and obviously it's really helpful when you're doing the stripes, as opposed to like if the pattern was plain and you wanted to do the modification of adding stripes, good luck with that type of construction. Like honestly, the math and thinking that has gone behind this, I can't even imagine. So that would have been a hard modification to do, and I'm grateful I don't have to do it in that direction. And I'm also grateful I don't have to do it in the other direction of removing the stripes, because that would mean I'd have to calculate so many times to make life easier for me. Like, you know, well, how many rounds of plain knitting is that before the next step? You probably know what I'm talking about. Like, if you're trying to like find shortcuts for yourself, but like you don't want to miss out important information. So I know that I've got to read every line, and I've actually struggled a few times, like, because it talks about repeating rows and then repeating sections and then repeating stripes, and then it says like, but do one row and two again. And those ones I easily forget, like, because I'm thinking in sections, and I forget that there's like a tiny little line afterwards that's like, oh, but you also have to do one more round of knitting after that. So here right now on the back, I've got to go back, I've cut the yarn already, I've got to reattach some yarn to do one round of purling and then cut again. But it's fine, because I already have a million ends to weave in, so what's one more, right? And the last thing is, oh yeah, and then because there's a lot of sizes as well, and the way that they've been structured into the pattern writing, it means that, again, there's lots of sections to skip, but then it joins right back to like, it doesn't say, like Rebecca, when she does that, she says, all sizes resume, knit 2 more rounds. But I think in this one, it doesn't actually say all sizes resume, it kind of just like is a new paragraph. So maybe that's a note that I'll put. So I'm finding it like more challenging to read this pattern, but still actually really enjoyable, because every line is important. It's just that there's a lot of lines, whereas other patterns that I've not liked in the past, they were not enjoyable to read because there were lots of lines and they weren't all important. I am getting a call on my phone, and I don't like to answer phone calls. I think it's a scam anyway, but it's from an 07 number, but nowadays they can do that. So we'll wait, see if they leave a message. And we're back. So yeah, so I think that's everything for the Grammar City. I'll definitely have more to show later. It'll be in t-shirt form and not in like flat work of art. So while all that was happening, I signed up for another secret testnet for the Creabea, of all people. I think I've made like, this will be my 5th testnet for her, and I love it. It's always really fun. So this one is secret, and I will not be able to show it, and it's due in like July or August, so I will have to refrain from showing you. I have yarn in stash for it. I was thinking of showing you the swatch next podcast. I think that's allowed, because it'll just be a stockinette swatch anyway, so yeah. And then the other thing that happened is that I was reached out to by Jessica from Skin and the Stitch. I bought her Iliad yarn to make the Birds of a Feather shawl that I was talking about earlier. She did like the Hobbit and the Alice in Wonderland advent calendar, so you may know her. She's like an American living in the UK. She's going to Flock this year, so she needs a sample knitter, and she's making a project. Pretty sure I can talk about the project, but I can't show the yarn. So the project she's sending me yarn for is the Alpine Bloom by Caitlin Hunter. I've only made the hat from last time, like the Bergman hat by Caitlin Hunter. Actually, we did a little photo shoot, so selfless plug, even though this hat was like so 1 episode ago. Here's the hat that I'm talking about. So I've made that hat from Caitlin Hunter, and it was nice. I liked the pattern writing style from Caitlin Hunter, so this will be my first garment from her, and it won't even be for a garment that I keep, but I'll be making that in a couple yarns from Skin and the Stitch, and I will be sending it back to her. It's also the same like July deadline, and she will hopefully take it to Flock. So one of my projects is going to travel all the way to America without me, thank God. And yeah, so it's a lot of deadline knitting all at once, but I'm kind of happy because I've actually been in the best place to take on these things, those projects, because I've been like really hyper about it and really like firing on all cylinders. Like you can see, it's consuming me in a good way, so I'm happy I've actually got this like outlet to burn off this creative energy, and the deadlines will keep me motivated and give me again like the knitting to focus on, as opposed to getting too swept up in like house problems. And like, yeah, it's I hope I don't regret my words. Obviously, stay tuned to see like possible mental breakdowns in the future, but I think it's not the worst decision. Definitely not taking on any more testnet or sample knits. But yeah, I was thinking actually, like very sneakily, the compensation for the sample knit will be like either some skins or like a gift card for her shop. I was thinking if I get the gift card, that could actually go towards paying for an advent calendar in like when she releases the spare boxes that she has in like November time. I think that'd be really cool, because I've really never wanted to pay for an advent calendar like full price with my own money. Last time I had won a gift card to a yarn shop for like a you know, like knit along prize. I had won a knit along for like the Lana Vest by Irene Lynn, got a gift card to my favorite yarn shop, or like yarn shop of choice, chose a gift card, used it to pay for a weekly advent calendar. So that was great. I think I only had to pay like 10 or 15 pounds. And then this year, if I'm getting this remuneration for my work, and I only have to pay again like 20, 30 pounds for the rest of the advent calendar, that's really great, because then I can fulfill my dream of following the masses once again and buying advent calendars, but without the extreme regret of having spent like a lot of money towards it, so that there's too much pressure towards it in the end. So those are all my plans for the future. I hope that I do enough that I get to talk to you soon about things, but obviously if there's not much knitting that I have to show you or can show you, it might be a while until the next podcast episode, but hopefully I will have other video ideas to do in the meantime, just so we don't forget about each other. But yeah, I think there will probably be 1 or 2 finished items when I do, like I'm gonna wait until I have 1 or 2 finished items to record another podcast. So I will now put the giveaway winner here on the screen. Congrats, you won the skein of yarn from Zekami from the Woolly Good Festival. Please contact me on my email address and I'll arrange the shipping of the yarn to you. thanks to everyone who participated, and if you don't get in touch with me, then I will draw another winner like in the next video. So that's for that, the giveaway. I'm glad I remembered. And then just before I leave you, a little bit of live chat. I just wanted to share that Ross, my boyfriend, has gotten a new promotion at work, and he used to be working on like shifts, like at the weekends and on nights every now and then, and he's finally moving back to a regular 9 to 5 schedule. And we're both over the moon about it. It's been a long time coming, and like it feels like all things are finally slotting into place. Like we're settling in the new house. He's got his new 9 till 5 job that's gonna happen soon. And yeah, I just thought that those are really happy news in the household, and I wanted to share that with you. So yeah, that's for him. And then when it comes to me, not really much other news to share. I've got lots of ideas for things to do this summer, like we're maybe gonna go to Copenhagen, but if that happens, I would ask you for recommendations like down the line. I'm gonna go to Belgium to see like the family, and possibly go to like a London day trip because I have to renew my like passport at the embassy, and they're making it very difficult for me to do that. So I think I'm gonna just like pop back down and then pop back up like in one day from Edinburgh. I think it's doable. It won't be enjoyable, but like that's on my to-do list this summer. I got my hair done last week, and that's been really nice. I like blow dried it today, so it's like very voluminous. I've been touching it during the video, so yeah. Been having fun with lipstick. It's been fun just like trying new things and finding the new routine and the new normal in like the house here. But yeah, things have been going well, and the knitting certainly has helped a lot with like mental health and like having a little purpose day to day. So yeah, I'm really happy to be back on YouTube, and thanks again for like all the lovely comments that you leave encouraging me. Like it's really a joy to read all of that. So yeah, if you like this video, please give it a like, comment below if there's anything you want to chat about or any advice for like future projects, and recommend your mosaic knitting shawls please if you have any. I'd love to see and discover new pattern and designers, because it's not something that a lot of designers like have on their catalogs, so I feel like I'm definitely going to be discovering new people by searching for this particular thing of knitting. And yeah, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!